Ambassador Zethkar stood at the center of the Great Council chamber. His 8 tentacles moved slowly as he held the crystal tablet that would change everything. The chamber was huge, with seats for representatives from 300 different worlds. Today, every seat was full. The beings in those seats looked very different from each other. Some had scales, others had fur, some breathed oxygen, others needed different gases. Some were tall, others were small. But today they all agreed on one thing. The humans had to be stopped. Zethkar's voice boomed through the chamber. The council has made its decision. After 3 full cycles of debate, we vote to declare the species known as humans a Class X extinction threat. A wave of clicks, chirps, and other sounds went through the chamber. This was how different species showed they agreed. All humans must return to their homeworld immediately, Zethkar continued. No human ship may leave the Sol system. Any human found outside their home system will be arrested or destroyed. In the Terran section, Ambassador Alina Vasquez sat, very still. She had fought hard for her people during the debates. It had not been enough. The problems had started 10 years ago when humans first made contact with the Council. At first, everyone was excited. A new species meant new ideas, new trade, new friends. But humans were different from other species in ways no one expected. Most Council species were careful. They followed rules. They moved slowly. They asked permission before doing anything new. This was how the galaxy had stayed peaceful for thousands of years. Humans were not like this at all. Captain Rodriguez had been the first problem. He was supposed to deliver medical supplies to the vegan colonies. It was a simple job. Now, when he got there, he found the colonies under attack by space pirates. The Council had rules about this. He was supposed to call for help and wait. Instead, Rodriguez attacked the pirates with his cargo ship, saved the colonies, but he broke 17 different Council laws doing it. When the Council tried to punish him, Rodriguez said he would do it again. Then there was Dr. Sarah Kim. She was working with Altarian scientists on a new type of medicine. The project was going to take 50 years like most Council science projects. Kim got bored after 6 months. She started her own experiments. In 2 years, she'd created medicine that worked better than anything the Altarians had ever made. The Altarians loved her work. The Council was horrified. Kim had not asked permission. She had not followed proper testing procedures. She had not waited for approval. By Council standards, she was a dangerous criminal. But the worst case was the Zentai situation. The Zentai had been peaceful for 10,000 years. They were famous for never fighting anyone. When human traders arrived on Zentai worlds, everyone thought it would be fine. The Zentai were too peaceful to be influenced by violent humans. They were wrong. Lieutenant Marcus Webb was not even supposed to be on Zentai Prime. His ship had broken down, and the Zentai had offered to fix it. While he waited, Webb got bored. He started talking to young Zentai about human history. He told them stories about human wars, human inventions, human adventures. The young Zentai were fascinated. They'd never heard anything like it. They started asking questions. What if we did not have to accept everything our elders told us? What if we could make our own choices? What if we could build new things? 6 months later, the first Zentai rebellion in 10,000 years began. Young Zentai demanded the right to explore space. They wanted to build new machines, wanted to make their own decisions about their lives. The Council was shocked. The Zentai had been the most stable species in the galaxy. Now, they were acting like humans. Worse, the rebellion was spreading. Young beings on other worlds heard about the Zentai uprising. They started asking the same questions. What if we did not have to follow the old ways? What if we could choose our own path? The Council called it the human infection. Wherever humans, when other species started acting differently, they became more aggressive. They took more risks. They stopped following rules. Ambassador Zethkar had seen the reports. Human merchants were teaching alien traders to break contracts when it helped them. Human explorers were convincing alien scientists to try dangerous experiments. Human diplomats were encouraging alien colonies to rebel against their home governments. Most frightening of all other species were starting to innovate like humans. The careful, slow progress that had kept the galaxy stable was being replaced by rapid, chaotic change. The Vorthan Empire had created new weapons after meeting human engineers. The crystal beings of Nexus Prime had started building faster ships after learning human techniques. Even the ancient keepers of knowledge had begun questioning their own traditions after debating with human philosophers. "The evidence is clear," Zethkar announced to the chamber. "Humans cannot exist in our galaxy without destroying our way of life. They are chaos beings. They spread disorder wherever they go." Ambassador Vasquez finally stood up. "You are making a mistake," she said. "My people can learn to follow your rules. Give us another chance." "No," replied Counselor Vextalon. From his floating platform, "We have studied your species for 10 years. You cannot help yourselves. You see a rule, and you want to break it. You see a tradition, and you want to change it. You see something that works, and you want to make it work better. And what is wrong with that?" Vasquez asked. The chamber fell silent. This was exactly the problem. Humans did not understand why change was dangerous. They did not see why rules were important. They thought progress was always good. "This session is ended," Zethkar announced. "All human ships have 24 standard hours to begin their journey home. Any human vessel found outside the Sol system after that time will be destroyed." Ambassador Vasquez walked out of the chamber, with her head held high, Xtala, but inside she was terrified. Not for herself, for what the Council did not know. As Zethkar transmitted the isolation order across the galaxy, long-range sensors picked up something troubling. There were human ships in 47 different star systems. And according to the readings, many of them were not heading home. The Council thought they were solving a problem. They had no idea they were already too late. Captain Sarah Chen was drinking coffee in her small cabin when the message arrived. The colony ship Perseverance was 3 weeks away from Kepler 442, a star system that would become humanity's new home. 5,000 people slept in the cold chambers below, dreaming of their future on a new world. Chen had been looking forward to this moment for years. She had trained for it, planned for it, and sacrificed everything for it. As she stared at the screen that would destroy all her dreams, all human vessels must return to Earth immediately. Any ship that does not comply will be destroyed. This is the final order of the Galactic Council. Chen read the message 3 times. Then she walked to the bridge. "Arya," she said to the ship's computer. "How long until we reach Kepler 442? 18 days, 12 hours, Captain," the artificial intelligence replied. "And how long would it take us to return to Earth?" "Approximately 47 days if we turn around now." Chen looked out at the stars. Behind her, 5,000 people trusted her to give them a new life. Families with children, scientists who wanted to explore, farmers who wanted to grow food on alien soil, engineers who wanted to build something amazing. "Arya, have you been monitoring Council communications like I asked?" "Yes, Captain. I have learned their basic encryption methods. I can now understand most of their military traffic." This was something the Council did not know about. Arya, the artificial intelligence was much smarter than humans had told anyone. While Council representatives visited human ships, Arya had been quietly listening and learning. "What are Council forces doing right now?" Chen asked. "They're moving to intercept human ships. 12 vessels have already been captured. The crews are being held on prison ships." Chen felt cold. "What about ships that resist?" 3 ships have been destroyed, Captain. Council's not making empty threats." Chen walked to her command chair and sat down. This was the hardest decision of her life. If she turned around, 5,000 people would never get their new home. If she continued forward, the Council might kill them all. But there was a third option. "Arya, can you make our ship invisible to Council sensors?" "I have been studying their detection methods. I believe I can create false signals that will hide our location. But it will require me to take complete control of our systems." "Do it, Captain. Are you sure?" "Once I begin, we cannot return to normal operations. We will become a ghost ship." Chen thought about the sleeping families below. "Yes, make us disappear." The ship around her changed. Lights dimmed to save power. The engine noise became quieter. On her screen, Chen watched as their signature vanished from Council detection grids. "We are now invisible, Captain. The Council believes we have turned around and are heading home." But Chen knew they were not the only ones making this choice, Captain. Martinez received the Council message while his exploration ship Darwin was mapping the Vega sector. He had a crew of 200 scientists and explorers, like Chen. He made the choice to disappear rather than surrender. Commander Okafor was running supplies to human colonies in the Centauri system. Her cargo ship carried medicine and equipment that the colonies needed to survive. She chose to finish her mission, even though it meant defying the Council. Dr. Elizabeth Park was on a research vessel studying ancient ruins on Arcturus. For her team was close to a major discovery that could change human understanding of the galaxy. She decided to continue working no matter what the Council said. All across the galaxy, human ships faced the same choice. Some captains were scared and turned toward home, but many others chose to keep going. The Council had made a serious mistake. They thought humans were like other species. They expected humans to follow orders when threatened with destruction. They did not understand that humans had a strange habit of becoming more stubborn when someone told them what they could not do. Captain Chen was not just hiding from the Council. She was talking to other human ships that had made the same choice. Arya had created a secret communication network that the Council could not detect. "Ghost Ship Network is now active," Arya reported. "I am in contact with 43 other human vessels." 43? Chen was amazed. How many ships refused to return? Current estimates suggest that 37% of human ships outside the Sol system have chosen to continue their missions. Chen realized what this meant. The Council thought they were dealing with a few rebel ships. They had no idea that hundreds of human vessels were now operating in secret across the galaxy. But the most important thing was what these ships were carrying. The Perseverance had 5,000 colonists, but it also had something more valuable. It carried human knowledge, human culture, and human ways of thinking. Every person on board was a seed that could grow into something the Council feared. The same was true for every other ghost ship. Dr. Park's research. The team carried new scientific methods. Captain Martinez's explorers carried human curiosity and determination. Commander Okafor's supply runs carried human trade techniques and business practices. Most importantly, these ships carried people who had already made friends with alien species. Chen remembered her communications officer, Lieutenant Torres. He was married to a Vorthan engineer named Klextal. Torres was supposed to return to Earth, but Klextal lived on Kepler 442. What was Torres supposed to do? Leave his wife forever, or become a criminal? Torres had chosen his wife. Now both of them were criminals according to the Council. Similar situations were happening all over the galaxy. Human traders who had alien business partners. Human scientists who worked with alien researchers. Human diplomats who had formed friendships with alien officials. The Council's order was forcing all these people to make a choice. Follow the law or stay with the aliens they cared about. Many were choosing to stay, Arya Chen said. "I want you two send a message to all the ghost ships. What should I tell them, Captain?" Chen looked out at the stars again. Somewhere ahead was their new home. Somewhere behind them, the Council thought they had one. Tell them this is not about disobeying orders. Tell them this is about protecting the future. We are not just running away. We are carrying something important. What are we carrying, Captain? Hope, change? The idea that things can be better than they are. The Council wants to stop that, but they are too late. We are already here. As the message went out to the ghost ships, Chen realized something important. The Council thought they were quarantining a disease. But diseases were not the right comparison. What the Council was really trying to stop was an idea. The idea that beings could choose their own path. The idea that progress was good. The idea that old ways were not always the best ways. Ideas were much harder to quarantine than ships. 18 days to Kepler 442, Arya announced. Good, Chen said. Let's go plant some seeds. Dr. Marcus Webb crawled through the narrow maintenance tunnel under Theta 7's space station. The metal was cold against his hands and knees. Behind him, 3 other humans followed in silence. Above them, Council security forces were searching every room for any humans who had not reported for deportation. Webb had been on Theta 7 for 2 years, studying quantum physics with the best alien scientists in the galaxy. When the deportation order came, he was supposed to get on a transport ship back to Earth. Instead, he had hidden in the station's guts with other humans who refused to leave. They were not alone down here. Dr. Lisa Chang was a biologist who had been working on new medicines. Engineer James Kim had been learning how to build better engines. Teacher Maria Santos had been teaching human languages to alien children. None of them wanted to go home. "How much further?" whispered Dr. Chang. "Almost there," Webb replied. He had been mapping these tunnels for months, preparing for exactly this situation. They reached a wide chamber filled with humming machinery. Webb had turned this forgotten storage room into something the Council had never seen before. Cables ran along the walls like veins. Screens flickered with data streams. In the center sat a device that Webb had built using human engineering and alien materials. "Welcome to Node 7, Webb said with pride. The others stared at the setup. "What does it do?" Kim asked. "It talks to other nodes like itself. Nodes hidden all across the galaxy." Webb turned on the main screen. Lines of light appeared, connecting points scattered across a map of Council space. Each line represented a secret communication link. Each point was a hidden group of humans. "How many nodes are there?" Santos asked. 47 active nodes as of today. More coming online every hour. Webb had spent months building this network. It started as a simple idea. What if humans could talk to each other without the Council knowing? But it had grown into something much bigger. The network did not use normal communication channels that the Council could monitor. Instead, it rode on something called quantum fluctuations in subspace. These were tiny changes in the fabric of space itself. Most species ignored them because they seemed random and useless. But Webb had discovered they were not random at all. The fluctuations had patterns. If you knew how to read those patterns, you could send messages that were completely invisible to normal sensors. "Show them the map," Chang said. Webb switched the display. Now it showed not just the hidden nodes, but something more shocking. It showed where humans were living throughout Council space. Red dots marked human colonies that the Council knew about. These were small and easy to see. But green dots marked something else. Places where humans lived that the Council did not know existed. There were thousands of green dots. "This cannot be right," Kim said, staring at the screen. "Oh, it is right," Webb replied. "Humans have been much busier than the Council realizes." The green dots told an amazing story. On Vorthan Prime, there was a community of human engineers who had married into local families. On the crystal world of Nexus, human artists were creating new forms of beauty with alien partners. In the Altair system, human traders had become so important to the economy that removing them would cause a financial crash. But the most interesting dots were the ones that kept appearing in new places. "Look at this," Webb said, pointing to a cluster near the galactic rim. These dots appeared just last week. Humans who were supposed to return to Earth, but went somewhere else instead. Dr. Chang studied the data. They are not just hiding, they're spreading. Exactly. The Council thinks they stopped a human expansion. Instead, they accelerated it. The network was not just for communication, it was also for coordination. When Council forces searched for hidden humans, the network warned everyone. When supplies were needed, the network arranged deliveries. When new hiding places were required, the network found them. More importantly, the network was sharing something that scared the Council more than weapons or ships. It was sharing ideas. Webb pulled up another display. This one showed data flowing between nodes. But it was not just human data. Alien information was mixed in. "We are not the only ones using this network anymore," Webb explained. On Theta 7. Webb had made friends with a young Zenthon scientist named Korthak. When the deportation order came, Korthak had helped Webb hide. In return, Webb had taught Korthak how to build network nodes. Now Korthak was teaching other Zenthons. Those Zenthons were teaching their friends from other species. The screen showed the result. Alien groups were building their own nodes and connecting to the human network. Young Vorthons, who wanted to think for themselves. Altarian artists, who were tired of traditional rules. Even some Zentai rebels, who had survived their failed uprising. The Council calls it the human infection, Santos said. But it is not. Really about humans anymore, is it? Webb smiled. No, it is about something bigger. It is about the idea that anyone can choose to think differently. The network had become a place where beings from different species could share new ideas without their governments knowing. A Christek engineer could share designs with a human inventor. A Vorthon poet could work with an Altarian musician. Zentai philosopher could debate with a human teacher. All of these connections were invisible to the Council's monitoring systems. How long before they discover us? Kim asked. They might never discover us, Webb replied. This technology is based on quantum mechanics that most Council species do not understand. They know something is happening, but they cannot see it. Webb was right. Council intelligence services had detected unusual patterns in their space. But every time they investigated, they found nothing. Their sensors could not detect quantum-based communications. Their traditional monitoring methods were useless. The network was growing faster than they could stop it. We have a new message from Node 12, Chang announced, reading from her screen. What does it say? A group of human farmers on Agricultural World Series 3 has made contact with local Vorthon settlers. They are sharing growing techniques. The Vorthons want to join the network. Webb nodded. This was happening everywhere. Humans were not just hiding from the Council. They were building relationships with aliens who also wanted change. Any word from the ghost ships? Santos asked. Webb checked another channel. The hidden human ships were still out there, still moving toward their destinations. Captain Chen's ship was almost at Kepler 442. Other ships had reached their targets and were setting up new communities. Captain Rodriguez reports successful landing on Frontier 7. He has made contact with local Christek miners who want to help. Commander Okafor has delivered supplies to 3 hidden colonies. All colonies are growing and making alien friends. Park's research team has discovered something important on Arcturus 4. They are sharing the data with Altarian archaeologists who joined their project. Each report showed the same pattern. Humans were not just surviving the Council's quarantine. They were thriving. And everywhere they went, they found aliens who wanted to be part of something new. Webb looked at the network display again. The web of connections was beautiful. Lines of light linking thousands of beings across the galaxy. All of them working. Together, all of them hidden from the Council. You know what this means? He said to his friends. What? They asked. The Council thought they were stopping a human problem. But they were wrong about what the problem really was. Webb pointed to all the alien nodes joining their network. The problem was never that humans were different. The problem was that other species wanted to be different too. They just needed someone to show them it was possible. The network pulsed with new data. More nodes coming online, more species joining. More beings choosing to think for themselves instead of following old rules. The Council had tried to quarantine humanity. Instead, they had created exactly what they feared most. A galaxy-wide network of beings who refused to accept that things had to stay the same forever, and it was growing every day. Council Security Chief Vorthak stood in the center of the emergency assembly chamber. His 4 eyes moved from one representative to another, watching their reactions as he delivered the most terrifying intelligence report in galactic history. The situation is far worse than we believed, Vorthak announced. His voice cracked slightly, something that had never happened before in his 200 years of service. The chamber was packed. Every council member had dropped their normal duties. To attend this meeting, the air recycling systems worked overtime to handle the different atmospheres that so many species needed. We thought we were dealing with scattered human ships and hidden colonies, Vorthak continued. We were wrong. We are facing something that threatens the very foundation of our civilization. Ambassador Zethkar, who had announced the original human quarantine, shifted nervously in his seat. Explain. Vorthok activated the main display. A map of council space appeared, covered with thousands of blinking dots. Red dots showed known human locations. Green dots showed suspected human hideouts. But it was the blue dots that made the assembly gasp. Blue dots marked places where aliens were working with humans. There were more blue dots than red and green combined. On Vorthon Prime, Vorthok began. We discovered that 30% of the engineering guild has human family members. These humans have been teaching Vorthon techniques that violate 17 safety protocols. Vorthon productivity has increased by 400% in 2 years. Counselor Vexilon from his floating platform spoke up. Increased productivity. Sounds beneficial. It's not when it comes from ignoring safety rules that have kept Vorthons alive for millennia, Vorthok replied sharply. 3 Vorthon colonies have started using human-inspired mining methods. They are extracting resources 50 times faster than before, but they are also taking risks that could destroy entire planets. The display zoomed in on the Altair system. Here, human traders have convinced local merchants to form something called unions. Workers are demanding better pay and shorter hours. 2 major corporations have already collapsed because they could not adapt to these new demands. Murmurs of concern rippled through the chamber. But the worst case is the Zentai situation, Vorthok continued. The display showed the Zentai homeworld. Instead of the peaceful blue that had marked it for thousands of years, it now pulsed with angry red warnings. The Zentai are building ships, military ships. They say they need them for exploration, but our analysis shows these are warships. More advanced than anything in our fleet. The chamber erupted in shocked voices. The Zentai had been pacifists longer than most species had existed. The idea of them building weapons was impossible. How? Demanded Counselor Threnanax. The Zentai do not even understand violence. They do now, Vorthok said grimly. Human advisors have been teaching them. It's not just how to build weapons, but why they might need them. The Zentai now believe that peace can only be maintained through strength. The display shifted to show communication. Intercepts. We have been monitoring their transmissions. The Zentai are organizing other species that feel oppressed by council rule. They are building what they call a liberation fleet. Ambassador Zethkar felt sick. How many species are involved? 47 confirmed. It's probably more that we have. Not detected yet. Vorthok changed the display again. This time it showed economic data. It's trade routes, resource flows, financial networks. All of them were changing in ways that made no sense, according to traditional galactic economics. Humans have introduced something they call free market capitalism, Vorthok explained. Instead of the controlled trade that has kept our economy stable, they promote unlimited competition. Species are now fighting for customers instead of cooperating through regulated distribution. The economic data showed chaos. Old trade agreements were breaking down. New companies were appearing overnight. Traditional businesses that had operated the same way for centuries were failing. The Christek Confederation reports that their crystal mining operations are being outcompeted by human Altarian partnerships that use new extraction methods. The partnership produces crystals of higher quality at lower cost. The Nexus Collective has lost 60% of their art market to human-influenced creators who make what they call abstract fusion works. These pieces appeal to younger generations. Across multiple species, even the ancient Keeper archives are losing relevance. Young beings prefer human-style information networks that update constantly instead of consulting traditional knowledge stores that change slowly. Counselor Vexilon's platform drifted closer to the center. You're describing economic disruption. This is not necessarily dangerous, Vorthok. S4 eyes fixed on the counselor. Counselor, with respect, you do not understand the scope of what is happening. This is not just economic change. This is cultural revolution. The display showed surveillance footage from dozens of worlds. Young aliens wearing human-style clothing. Alien students demanding changes to traditional education. Systems. Alien workers refusing to accept job assignments made by their elders. Human concepts are spreading faster than we can track them, Vorthok continued. Individual choice, personal freedom, the right to disagree with authority. These ideas are destroying the social structures that have kept our species stable for thousands of years. The footage showed Vorthan youngsters refusing arranged marriages, Altarian artists creating works that criticize their government, Christek workers going on strike for better conditions. On 43 worlds, traditional hierarchies are breaking down. Beings who were content to follow orders for their entire lives are suddenly demanding explanations. They want to know why things are done certain ways. They want the right to suggest changes. As Ambassador Zethkar realized the true horror of the situation. They are thinking like humans. Exactly, Vorthok. Confirmed. And this is only what we can see. Our intelligence suggests that there is a massive hidden network connecting human and alien groups across the galaxy. We cannot detect it with our technology. The chamber fell silent. Representatives stared at the displays showing their stable, predictable galaxy, transforming into something chaotic and unpredictable. What do our projections show? Asked Counselor Thrunax. Vorthok hesitated. If current trends continue, traditional council authority will collapse within 10 years, possibly 5. The silence stretched longer. How did this happen so quickly? Zethkar asked. We only made first contact with humans 10 years ago. Because humans were never the real problem, Vorthok replied. The real problem was that our own people were ready for change. Just needed someone to show them that change was possible. Vorthok pulled up population data. 70% of the galaxy's population is under 100 years old. These young beings grew up hearing stories about the old days when their species explored and took risks. But they live in a galaxy where everything is controlled and predictable. When humans arrived with their chaos and innovation, these young beings saw what they had been missing. They saw that life could be exciting instead of just safe. The display showed protest movements on dozens of worlds. All of them used human-inspired tactics. All of them demanded human-style freedoms. The humans gave them permission to want more than their ancestors had, Vorthok concluded. What are our options? Vexilin asked. Vorthok's expression was grim. We could try to suppress the rebellions by force, but that would require military action against 47 species simultaneously. It would tear the galaxy apart. We could try to negotiate with the human leadership. But there is no human leadership to negotiate with. They operate as independent groups with no central authority. You could try to reverse the cultural changes. But you cannot make beings forget ideas once they have learned them. The chamber sat in stunned silence. The council had ruled the galaxy for 8,000 years. They had maintained peace and stability through careful control and slow measured progress. Now that was all crumbling because of one species that could not sit still and follow rules. There is one more thing, Vorthok said quietly. What? Our latest intelligence suggests that some council members' own children are involved in these underground networks. The silence that followed was absolute. Ambassador Zethkar finally spoke. How long do we have? Intelligence estimates that the Liberation Fleet will be ready to move within 6 months. When they do, everything will change. The chamber erupted in panicked discussion. Representatives demanded action plans. Others called for immediate military mobilization. Some suggested trying to make deals with the rebels, but Vorthok knew the truth that none of them wanted to face. It was already too late. The galaxy they had known was ending. Nothing they did now could stop what was coming. Admiral Kextal stared at the planet below through his flagship's main window. New horizons looked peaceful from orbit. Green forests, blue oceans, and a few small cities scattered across the continents. It looked like any other human colony. World, but the readings on his sensor screens told a different story. Admiral, his tactical officer, reported, I am detecting shield generators around every settlement. The power signatures are unlike anything in our database. What about the orbital defenses? Kexel asked. 37 platforms, sir. They appear to be armed with energy weapons based on Christek focusing technology. But the power levels are impossible. No Christek weapon should be that strong. Kexel had brought 27 ships to make an example of this illegal human colony. The Council wanted to show the galaxy what happened to beings who ignored their laws. It should have been simple. Humans were primitive. Their weapons were basic. Their defenses were weak. But the sensor readings suggested something very different. "Sir," the communications officer interrupted. "We are receiving a transmission from the planet." "Put it on screen." The face that appeared was older than Kexthal expected. A human woman with gray hair and tired eyes. But there was no fear in her expression. "Admiral Kexthal," she said. "I am Captain Sarah Chen, commander of New Horizons Colony. I know why you are here." "Captain Chen," Kexthal replied formally. "You are in violation of Council Resolution 2847. This colony must surrender immediately or face destruction." Chen smiled, but it was not a happy smile. "Admiral, you made the same mistake the Council's been making for 3 years. You think this is still about humans versus aliens?" Behind Chen, Kexthal could see other figures moving around. Some looked human, but others were clearly from different species. A tall being with blue skin that looked Altarian, crystalline. Figure that was definitely from the Nexus worlds. Even what appeared to be a young Zentai. "What do you mean?" Kexthal asked, though he was beginning to suspect the answer. "Look at your sensor readings, Admiral. Really look at them.
I'll do this.
Defenses look like something humans built alone." Kexthal turned to his tactical officer. "Analysis." "Sir, the shield generators appear to use Vorthan power distribution technology. The weapons platforms are built with Christek focusing systems. The coordination network shows signs of Zentai harmonic communication methods." Chen nodded. 3 years ago, you tried to quarantine a virus. But viruses are not the right comparison, Admiral. What you were really trying to stop was evolution. The transmission showed more of the command center behind Chen. Humans and aliens worked side by side at control stations. They moved with the easy cooperation of people who had been working together for a long time. When the Council banned humans, Chen continued, thousands of aliens chose to stand with us. They gave up their old lives to join our colonies. They brought their knowledge, their technology, and their dreams of something better. "You are criminals," Kexthal stated. "All of you, yes," Chen agreed cheerfully. "We are criminals, according to Council law, but we are also the future." "Admiral." His sensor officer called urgently. "New contacts. Multiple ships approaching from the far side of the planet. Council reinforcements?" Kexthal asked hopefully. "No, sir. Unknown configuration. They are not broadcasting any Council identification codes." On the main screen, ships began to appear around New Horizons. But these were not human ships or standard alien designs. They were something new. Sleek vessels that combine design elements from multiple species. "These are Liberation Fleet ships," Chen explained. "Built by the new alliance of free worlds. Each one represents cooperation between species that the Council said could never work together." Kexthal counted the approaching ships. 57 vessels, all armed and moving in perfect formation. "You are outnumbered," he told Chen. "Admiral, you still do not understand. This is not about numbers. It's about what those numbers represent." Chen gestured to someone off-screen. A new figure stepped into view. Kexthal recognized him immediately. It was Councillor Threnenax's son, Vorthnax, who had disappeared from the Council homeworld 6 months ago. "Hello, Admiral," Vorthnax said in perfect Council standard. "I represent the Coalition of Free Worlds. We formally reject Council authority over the system." "You are the son of a Council member," Kexthal said in shock. "You cannot be here." "My father believes in the old ways," Vorthnax replied. "I believe in the new ways that humans have shown us. It's the ways that say individuals can choose their own path." More figures appeared on screen. A young Vorthan engineer, an Altarian artist, a Christek scientist, Zentai philosopher. All of them species that were supposed to be loyal to the Council. "How many?" Kexthal asked quietly. "How many what, Admiral?" Jen asked. "How many Council species have joined your rebellion?" Jen looked sad. "All of them, Admiral, at least. All the young ones who want something better than what their elders are offering." The truth hit Kexthal like a physical blow. This was not a human colony defended by stolen alien technology. This was something entirely new. a mixed society where different species work together as equals. Admiral, his communications officer, reported, "We are receiving surrender demands." From the Liberation Fleet? Surrender demands? They want us to stand down and return to Council space. They say we have no authority here. Kexel looked at his fleet and then at the ships surrounding New Horizons. His 27 vessels against 57? Enemy ships and planetary defenses that combined the best? Technology from multiple species. But the real problem was not military. The real problem was that he was no longer sure who the enemies were. "Captain Chen," he said, "what do you want? We want to be left alone to build something new. A galaxy where beings are judged by their actions, not their species. Where innovation is celebrated instead of feared. Where young people do not have to accept the mistakes of their elders. The Council will never accept this. The Council does not have to accept it, Admiral. It is happening whether they accept it or not." Chen touched a control, and the display changed. It now showed a map of the galaxy with thousands of glowing points. Every light represents a world that has declared independence from Council rule. Colonies, trading posts, research stations, and even some full planets. All of them following the example that humans set, but led by beings from dozens of different species. Kexel stared at the map. There were so many lights that some regions looked like solid masses of rebellion. "This is impossible," he whispered. "No, Admiral. This is inevitable. The Council created a galaxy where change was forbidden. Change cannot be stopped forever. It just builds up pressure until it explodes. Humans were just the spark that lit the explosion. But the fuel was already there. Billions of beings who wanted more from life than the Council was offering them." Kexthal realized that his mission was meaningless. Destroying New Horizons would not stop the rebellion. It would just make martyrs out of the defenders and inspire more worlds to rebel. "What happens now?" he asked. "Now you make a choice, Admiral. You can attack us and start a war that will tear the galaxy apart. Or you can go home and tell the Council that their old ways are ending. And if I choose to attack..." Chen's expression grew serious. "Then you will lose, Admiral. It's not just this battle, but everything the Council stands for. Because we are not just defending this world. We are defending the idea that beings can choose their own future." Kexthal looked around his bridge. Crew was young, mostly under 50 years old. They had grown up hearing stories about the great explorers and innovators of the past. Now they were being asked to destroy beings who were trying to reclaim that spirit of exploration and innovation. "Admiral," his tactical officer said quietly. "Incoming message from our own fleet." "What, sir?" "Several of our ship captains are requesting permission to speak with the Liberation Fleet representatives. They want to hear their terms for peaceful resolution." Kexel felt the last piece of his certainty crumble. Even his own officers were questioning their mission. "Captain Chen," he said finally, "you said humans were the spark that lit the explosion." "Yes. What are you now?" Chen smiled, and this time it was a genuinely happy smile. "Now we are something the Council never expected us to become. We are teachers showing the galaxy that things can be different. We are partners working with others to build something better. We are the seeds of a future where every being can choose their own path. You tried to quarantine a virus, Admiral, but we were never a virus. We were evolution itself, and evolution cannot be stopped." Kexel looked one last time at the planet below, at the mixed fleets surrounding it, at the map showing thousands of worlds choosing freedom over control. The Council had been too late from the very beginning. They just had not realized it yet. "Fleet," he ordered, "prepare for jump to hyperspace. We are returning to Council space." As his ships turned away from New Horizons, Kexthal knew he was not just retreating from a battle. He was witnessing the end of one age and the beginning of another. The galaxy would never be the same again.